One of the most persistent problems in reading Paul's household instructions is the tendency to flatten them. Many readers assume that Paul is simply repeating the same command to different people, using slightly different wording. But Paul is not careless with language. He is precise. So in this video, we are going to slow down and ask a focused question. Why does Paul use different action words for wives, children, and slaves? This question matters, because if Paul is saying the same thing to everyone, then his distinctions are meaningless. But if Paul is using different words intentionally, then those words tell us how he understands each relationship. Let's begin by observing the differences. In Ephesians 5, Paul addresses husbands and wives. To husbands, he gives one command: husbands, love your wives. To wives, he gives a different but only one command: let the wife revere her husband. Already we can see that Paul is not using symmetrical language. Love and reverence are not the same action. They move in different directions. They correspond to a particular analogy: Christ and the church. Now notice what happens when Paul turns to children in Ephesians 6. He does not tell children to revere their parents. He does not tell them to love their parents. He tells them to obey. This is a different word, and it belongs to a different kind of relationship. Children are dependent. They are being formed. They are not yet fully responsible, in the same way adults are. Obedience makes sense here because the relationship is asymmetrical, in a developmental way. Now notice what Paul does when he addresses slaves. Again, he uses the word obey. This reflects social constraint. Paul is not affirming slavery as an ideal. He is addressing people within a given reality. What matters for our purposes is that Paul does not collapse all these relationships into one category. Marriage is not parenthood. Parenthood is not slavery. And Paul refuses to speak as though they are. Each relationship receives a different action word, because each relationship has a different relational structure. This is why treating submission as the same thing everywhere creates confusion. Submission is posture. Actions differ. Love belongs to marriage, because marriage is shaped by the Christ Church analogy. Reverence belongs to marriage, because it mirrors the Church's response to Christ. Obedience belongs to children, because of developmental dependence. Obedience belongs to slaves because of social constraint. Paul is not inconsistent. He is careful. Flattening these distinctions turns Paul into a blunt moralist. Preserving them reveals him as a precise relational theologian. This also explains why attempts to universalize one command across all relationships often do harm. When obedience is imported into marriage, the Christ Church analogy collapses. When reverence is imposed on children, authority is confused. When love is demanded of slaves, the reality of constraint is ignored. Paul avoids all of this by using different words for different relationships. He respects relational reality. So the key takeaway in this video is simple. Paul does not give one generic command called submission to everyone. He gives distinct actions shaped by distinct relationships, all held together by a shared posture under Christ. In the next video, we'll turn to one final and surprising question. Why Paul never tells the church to obey Christ, even though he regularly tells Christians to obey. Thank you for watching.